The story of the Golden State Warriors' 2022 championship season begins long before that final buzzer in Boston. It starts with a team that had once ruled the NBA, then fell apart through injuries, heartbreak, and rebuilding. When the Warriors entered the 2021-2022 season, the basketball world didn't know what to expect. Their dynasty had been written off, their stars were older, and critics said the league had moved on. But inside that locker room in San Francisco, there was a different energy, quiet belief. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green still believed the story wasn't over. 2 years earlier, the Warriors had watched their empire crumble. Kevin Durant had left for Brooklyn after the 2019 Finals, Klay Thompson tore his ACL, and Curry broke his hand early in the 2019-2020 season. The team finished that year with the worst record in the league. It was humbling for a group that had dominated the NBA for half a decade. The following season brought improvement but no playoffs. Yet behind the scenes, the front office was rebuilding smartly. Young talent like Jordan Poole was developing. Andrew Wiggins, often criticized in Minnesota, was learning the Warriors' system and quietly becoming one of their most important players. When the 2021-2022 season began, the Warriors were a mix of veterans chasing redemption and younger players hungry for respect. They started hot, winning game after game with the same joyful style that had once made them unstoppable: fast ball movement, crisp defense, and a barrage of three-pointers. Curry looked fresh and determined, smiling after big shots but focused on something larger. He wasn't chasing numbers anymore. He was chasing another ring. Every great comeback story needs a spark, and Klay Thompson's return provided it. After more than 2 years away from basketball, recovering from both an ACL and Achilles injury, Klay finally stepped back onto the court on January 9, 2022. The arena roared. His teammates beamed with pride. His first game back felt like a celebration of resilience. The Splash Brothers were together again. And even though Klay wasn't fully in rhythm yet, his presence lifted the entire team. The Warriors' offense flowed with new confidence. Jordan Poole, who had grown into a fearless scorer, thrived alongside Curry and Thompson. Wiggins became an all-star for the first time, rewarded for his efficient scoring and improved defense. Draymond Green continued to be the heart of the team, anchoring the defense, running the offense, and providing leadership. Rookie Jonathan Kuminga and second-year player Moses Moody showed flashes of the future. The mix of youth and experience gave the team depth that few others could match. Through the first half of the season, the Warriors looked unstoppable. Curry broke Ray Allen's all-time three-point record in Madison Square Garden, becoming the greatest shooter in NBA history beyond any doubt. That moment wasn't just a milestone, it was a reminder. The Golden State Warriors entered the Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Mavericks with a quiet sense of control. They had been here before, 5 times in the last 8 years, and knew what it took to win on this stage. The Mavericks, led by Luka Doncic, were hungry and confident after knocking out the top-seeded Phoenix Suns. Luka's brilliance was undeniable, but Golden State had experience on their side. They understood that playoffs aren't about one superstar, they're about trust, rhythm, and composure. Game 1 in San Francisco set the tone. From the opening tip, the Warriors moved the ball with precision, cutting and passing like a symphony. Stephen Curry dictated the pace, probing the defense and finding open teammates. Andrew Wiggins took on the challenge of guarding Doncic, using his athleticism and focus to make every shot difficult. Draymond Green orchestrated the defense, shouting instructions and switching seamlessly. By the fourth quarter, the game was firmly in Golden State's hands. They won comfortably, and the crowd erupted in familiar chants of "Warriors," echoing through Chase Center. The Mavericks adjusted for Game 2, pushing the tempo and hitting shots early. Luka was brilliant, scoring from all angles, but the Warriors never panicked. Their depth showed. Kevin Looney, often overlooked, dominated the boards and finished with a career night. The Warriors rallied from a double-digit deficit, relying on defense and timely shooting. When the final buzzer sounded, they were up 2-0, and the series was slipping away from Dallas. Game 3 in Dallas was expected to be a test. The Mavericks fans were loud, desperate for a win. Luka played with fire, but the Warriors' balance overwhelmed them. Wiggins delivered one of the highlights of the playoffs, a thunderous dunk over Doncic that sent the bench and social media into a frenzy. It was a moment that symbolized Wiggins' transformation from a once criticized player into a vital piece of a championship contender. Golden State took a commanding 3-0 lead, and even though Dallas avoided a sweep in Game 4, the outcome felt inevitable. Back home for Game 5, the Warriors handled business. They played with patience, moving the ball, defending as a unit, and letting their experience guide them. Curry led with calm confidence, Klay hit big shots, and Looney again anchored the paint. When the final horn sounded, the Warriors were Western Conference champions once more. The crowd showered them with love, and the players smiled, not with surprise, but with satisfaction. They had climbed back to the mountaintop. For Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, it was a deeply emotional moment. 3 years earlier, they were at rock bottom, injured, doubted, and written off. Now, they were heading back to the NBA Finals. The trio had been through it all together, and their bond was stronger than ever. The team celebrated, but quietly. They knew the job wasn't done. Ahead of them waited. When the final buzzer sounded in Boston and the Golden State Warriors were crowned 2022 NBA champions, the celebration wasn't just about another trophy. It was about everything they had endured to get there. The emotion on the court told the story better than words ever could. Stephen Curry collapsed to the floor, holding his face as tears streamed down. It wasn't a moment of arrogance, it was relief, gratitude, and triumph all at once. After years of being doubted, mocked, and written off, he had led his team back to the top of the basketball world. Draymond Green wrapped his arms around Klay Thompson, both laughing and shouting through tears. For Klay, this victory was deeply personal. After 2 devastating injuries, the ACL tear in 2019 and the Achilles rupture in 2020, many thought he'd never be the same. But here he was, back on the biggest stage, contributing to another title run. His comeback was a story of relentless work and love for the game. Green, the heartbeat of the team, had once said that they were built differently, that their connection went beyond basketball. That night, he was right. The locker room was a mix of champagne, laughter, and disbelief. The music blasted, the players danced, and the sense of family was unmistakable. Younger players like Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga soaked in the moment, realizing they were part of something historic. Veterans like Andre Iguodala smiled quietly, knowing they had witnessed one of the greatest revivals in sports. Steve Kerr, calm and proud, addressed the team. He told them they'd earned this one the hard way. This, he said, is the most meaningful championship of them all. The celebration carried back to San Francisco, where fans filled the streets. The city had waited years for this night, through injuries, trades, and a pandemic. Now, they were champions again. The parade days later was a sea of blue and gold. Curry rode through the crowd with his Finals MVP trophy held high, smiling like a man who had nothing left to prove. Klay stood on the float with a captain's hat, grinning and spraying champagne into the air. Draymond took the microphone to remind everyone that doubt had fueled them. The team's chemistry, humor, and confidence were on full display, just like old times. The 2022 title cemented something important. It wasn't just the 4th championship in 8 years, it was validation. It proved that their dynasty hadn't ended, it had simply evolved. When critics said they were finished, they rebuilt quietly. They didn't chase big trades or blow up their roster. They trusted their core, developed their young players, and stayed patient. That patience paid off. Stephen Curry's Finals MVP award finally ended a debate that had followed him for years. He had long been the engine of the Warriors' success, but some claimed he lacked a defining Finals moment. In 2022, he silenced everyone. His performance against the Celtics, averaging over 31 points per game, was masterful.